together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you are having a good day. Just doing a little bit of sharing. It's Tuesday. It better be. We're going to be in the 12 by 12 today. Fifth step, clearly. The other stuff is doing repeating and yeah. Can only cover traditions and that same step. So much straight in the butt. Oh, I feel beat, man. All the stuff I've had to get done around the house, and it's a lot. I've been getting done. So it's just like we have this sunroom, right? And they had to re-level it and stuff, and the windows haven't been washed in probably 10 years, and trying to redo the whole thing. I'm redecorating it, and you know, the sliding door is like this far off at the bottom. I'm gonna fix all that. I know how to do all that. It's been nice, kind of nice as the that I'm off the atorvastatin and most of duloxetine. I can think and do shit again. It's kind of nice. I'm actually a very handy guy. I've worked all sorts of trades, man. So the only thing I don't do is plumbing. I will not do plumbing. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I don't do poop. Welcome, Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. I'm an alcoholic. Amongst other things, too. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I tried a different streaming thing yesterday, and you know, they gave me a 7-minute. Yeah, you could have 7 minutes of trial, and it has bells and whistles, but I'm just kind of used to this, and I don't feel like switching stuff over. I was just doing shit, so I was fucking around. That's all I was doing. I was checking it out. It was cool. It gave some cool stuff, but you know, bells and whistles. They did. Some of the sound effects were cool, but that was about it. Otherwise, it was a little too flashy. For me. So we're going to be in the 12 by 12 on page 57 today. May I have to put on my to-do list to write my to-do list. I do it at night because that's when I remember everything I have. I only remember everything I have to do when I'm not doing it. That's what happens to me. So we're going to be talking about forgiveness today. And I say a lot that forgiveness happens in the fifth step, and this just kind of shows it. The ninth step is not forgiveness. Forgiveness has already happened. So we're going to kind of cover forgiveness today. I don't know if it'll be the whole scope of things. I just don't know. I never fucking know what's happening. It's not like I have notes or something. I've never had notes. Never started. Oh, so 57. Good afternoon, Patricia. It is 9 o'clock in the morning here. Usually you're like, good evening, and I'm just getting up. Yeah, so for years I've dealt with lethargy, and it's been about a month and a half I've been off the atorvastatin now. And one of the biggest side effects of the atorvastatin was lethargy. But I've had to re-regulate myself over the last month and a half. That's why I kind of got rid of Facebook. I am hardly ever on Facebook anymore. Like I was on it earlier scrolling. I'm like, why? I don't. Yeah. So let's get started. I'm gonna be on the top of page 57. So, what are we likely to receive from step 5? For one thing, we shall get rid of that terrible sense of isolation that we've always had. Whew. The more you try and fit in, the worse, the harder it gets, the worse it gets. It's kind of like when I promised to quit drinking. It immediately, as soon as it came out of my mouth, it got harder. So hard that 20 minutes. And I tell people, you know, I last about 20 minutes because that's how long it takes me to get to the liquor store. Unless it's only 5 minutes away, then I'll last about 5 minutes. See, it really depends on how close the liquor store is. That's how long I would last. And it wouldn't be a very happy 5 minutes for anybody. At the end, my wife wouldn't take me to the liquor store. I would have to walk. Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness. Even before our drinking got bad and people began to cut us off, nearly all of us suffered the feeling that we didn't quite belong. All of us. See, when I talk to people and I'm like, were you really trying to control your drinking or were you trying to fit in? I wasn't. I never tried to control my drinking. Ever. No. I don't understand why you would do that. See, I knew all this. So I figure if I didn't do all that, maybe I wouldn't be an alcoholic. No, it just got worse quicker. That's what happened. But thank God. That means I skipped over all of that. Right? So, yeah. Even before drinking got bad and people began to cut us off, nearly all of us suffering the feeling that we didn't quite belong. Either we were shy and dared not draw near others, or we were apt to be noisy goodfellows, craving attention, companionship, but never getting it, at least to our way of thinking. I am both of these. By nature, I'm a very shy person. You may not think I am, but I'm not here sharing my personal stuff. Become my friend and watch how long it takes. Even my own sponsor said, Dion, you make it very hard to get to know you. And I said, yeah, I do. I do that on purpose. I've had too many people fucking hurt me. It's part of I can't help it. At the same time, if you do something to go out of the way to help me, I will have your fucking back like you would not believe. Yes, I will. Even if you're wrong, I will have your back. We will have a stern talking later, but I will have your back then and there. So there was always that mysterious barrier we could neither surmount nor understand. It was as if we were actors on stage suddenly realizing that we did not know a single line of our parts. That's one reason we loved alcohol too well. It did let us act extemporaneously. Okay? That means out of control. Or, I can't think of the right words right now. But even Bacchus boomeranged on us. I don't know what that is. We were finally struck down and left in terrified loneliness. And you're like, so Dion, what in the fuck does that have to do with forgiveness? Okay. Where's the forgiveness happening here? Who's being forgiven? You are. The person doing the fifth step is the person being forgiven. I can't provide forgiveness. I'm not God. I can forgive, but I can't give forgiveness. That is an action that I cannot do. That's up to God. That's right. Yeah. I'm the one being forgiven. I have to forgive myself. If I don't, then I can't provide the justice that comes in step 9. It's the only part I really need to forgive. because I'm the one that did this to me. Did the other people participate? Sure, they did. Am I going to forgive them? Sure, I am. But that forgiveness comes with me forgiving myself. It's an all included thing. We're going to forgive others. You know who the others are? You. You're an other. Except when to do so would injure them or others. If it's going to injure you, the answer is no. You might walk into some place and there's some people out there that are very dangerous. Man, people are just not liking what I have to say today. Oh well. When we reached AA for the first time in our lives, stood among people who seemed to understand, the sense of belonging was tremendously exciting. We thought the isolation problem had been solved. No, not yet. But what a mighty beginning. But we soon discovered that while we weren't alone anymore in the social sense, we still suffered many of the old pangs and anxious apartness. Anxious apartness. Okay. You know what that? You have a dog? Yeah. Yeah. It's called separation anxiety. And alcoholics get it. Right? For in the beginning when my wife was working all the time, I had separation anxiety because I needed my wife around and I had to figure out how to live my life with her without her around, man. I had to figure that out. Until we had talked with complete candor of our conflicts, and just like the conflict I'm talking about right now, right? And had listened to someone else do the same thing, we still didn't belong. Step 5 was the answer, is the beginning of a true kinship with man and God. Okay, now that we understand that, we can do something about it. So here we go. The vital step was also the means by which we began to get the feeling that we could be forgiven no matter what we had thought or done. There it is. That we were forgiven. Cart before the horse. I'm an alcoholic. And even though I know I have the cart before the horse, I still have the cart before the horse. I have to intentionally move the darn cart before I do anything. I have to be aware of it. I'm an alcoholic. My default mode is to have the cart before the horse. It's what I know. It's what I know. My brain is comfortable with that. It means I think I can predict the future. It means that I'm what ifing. It means that I'm 2 days ahead. Things like that. And I can't live there, right? So we got the feeling that we could be forgiven. All these bad things that I've done, how could God ever forgive me? Well, let's take a look at some of the people God's forgiven. Take a look around the room. There are people in the room that have done worse things than you. And they were forgiven. And you watched it. But our minds tell us, well, that's great and everything, but that's not for me. And we'll deny ourselves. That's what I did. I would deny myself. That looks great on you, but on me, it would not. Yeah. I don't get that. I'm not allowed. But it's me doing that. Often it was while working on this step with our sponsors or spiritual advisors that we first felt truly able to forgive others, no matter how deeply felt they had wronged us. Okay. Now, forgiveness, forgiven, and forgive are different words. They're different words. Okay. So we got the feeling that we could be forgiven. That is an action. Forgiven is an action. You have been forgiven. Okay. You remember the part in the third step promises where it says we were reborn? You were okay with that. So the key is this. Until you learn how to forgive yourself until you are okay with the fact that you are forgiven, you cannot forgive other people. You cannot transmit something you don't have. See, and that's the key. You got to do it first for you. then you can do it for others. That's why we say you got to do recovery for yourself or it won't work. Those are the things. Sobriety, anybody, anything, I don't give a fuck. But recovery, you got to do for yourself. You got it. And our moral inventory had persuaded us that all around forgiveness was desirable. But it was only when we resolutely tackled step 5 that we inwardly knew we'd be able to receive forgiveness and give it too. See how you're always receiving it first. Now, do you go to somebody and say, I forgive you? No. Who the fuck do you think you are? See, you can't provide it, can you? It's an inside job. So what are we doing? We're removing anything objectionable between you and God. That's it. That's all we're doing. And who's doing that? That would be me. And I need to forgive myself for doing that. Okay? Here's a good example. You call yourself a name. If you don't apologize, you're not doing your 10th step. It's forgiveness. And if you can't do it with you, if you can't forgive yourself for doing something wrong by making it right, then we better probably go back to the 3rd step. Right? Yeah. I have 4 responsees. 3 of them are supposed to be texting me at night. Only 1 did last night. Another great dividend. Step 5 is full of it. Okay. Step 5 is where several of the promises start to come true. Loneliness vanishes. This is where, that's why I believe that when in the 9th step promises, where it says we will be amazed before we are halfway through. People are like, what, halfway through the 9th step? Well, that's going to be years. No, it's halfway through the steps. Or I'm sorry, but the other way, you just, what, you want to wait 10 years until you're halfway through your 9th step because you couldn't get to these people or whatever, and God said not yet? No. You don't want loneliness to vanish? You don't want it? Oh, well, you know what? If you don't want the promises to come true, you know what will happen? They won't come true. They will come true, but you won't be able to see it because you're denying yourself. This is what it's all about. Me denying myself a better life. And I got to stop doing that. Who is the one person I beat the crap out of? Me. Me. I did that to me. And if I can't, I am my number one enemy. People treat others as you would want to be treated. No, 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 no. Please don't do that. Or you would treat me like crap, wouldn't you? If any of you talk to me the way I talk to me, oh, I would rip you up. And you do the same thing. So stop doing it. So stop it then. Bad. We may expect from confiding our defects to another human being is humility, a word often misunderstood. To those who have made progress in AA, it amounts to a clear recognition of what and who we really are, followed by a sincere attempt to become what we could be, or actually what we should be. What we should be. That's why we stopped fighting everybody and everything. That includes yourself. Stop fighting you. That's the biggest fight you got. I have to stop fights in my head all the time. Like, that's enough. That's enough. I don't want to hear any more of it, Dion. And I give myself a strong boundary. Because if I can't do that with me, then how am I going to supply a strong boundary for somebody else that comes along? Okay. And it happens quite often. I just got gaslit this morning over somebody who wanted to post a joke. I didn't find it funny. It was a sober living outfit. And then I got gaslit. They don't even know that, and they're in the field, and things. And it's like I wrote back, and I'm like, I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. And I wonder if they wrote back, and they're not going to write back. Okay, and that's exactly why men don't share their feelings. Because I said, this is what I said. I said, I wish I had a better sense of humor around this, but it's hard for me because we are dead last in the country because of sober livings and recovery coaching. And and they wrote back, I work 60, 70 hours a week and I got to have a sense of humor. We are not a gum lot BB. Like I don't know what it's from. You don't go to AA. You don't get to say that. Okay. That is called gaslighting. And no, no. I'm probably going to remove him as a friend. I will not tolerate it. No. Mm-mm. I might. I don't know. She does amazing work, but she hangs out with some people that are big time body brokers, and it's about, everybody just wants to be a part of, and they fell into the same trap. See, they took a bunch of our abatement money, and what they said was, hey, all you need to do is submit your name, and we will randomly draw people, and you come out to Washington D.C. We're gonna have a big party, and this was a yeah. See, no, and it wasn't. It was invite only. It was invite only. Because weird, all the people that they were friends with went. All the body brokers from Colorado went. My name wasn't drawn. Weird. I just wanted to see. All right. Therefore, our first practice move towards humility must consist of recognizing our deficiencies. No defect can be corrected unless we clearly see what it is. But we shall have to do more than see. The objective look at ourselves we achieved in step 4 was, after all, only a look. All of us saw, for example, that we lacked honesty and tolerance, that we were beset at times by attacks of self pity or delusions of personal grandeur. But while this humiliating experience, while this was a humiliating experience, it did not necessarily mean that we had yet acquired much of actual humility. Though now recognized, our defects were still there. Something had to be done about them, and we soon found we could not wish or will them away by ourselves. So, you know, humility. See, until you recognize some things, the humility cannot be an option. Just like if you're drunk, you can't take step 1. If you're still detoxing from alcohol, it's going to be hard to take step 1. I have a sponsor right now. They're on day 9. They're still shaky. Okay. And they're not, they'll be cognitive soon in the next couple of days. Then I'll be able to start with them. But it would be a failure. It would be a failure, because then we would do step 1, and he might only catch half of that, right? So he has other things that he needs to do in the meantime. But humility, in its really simple form, what it is just asking for help and honestly meaning it. That's what it meant to me in the beginning. Then things started to get better, not bitter, better, better butter, better butter, big bouncy blue bunny balls. I haven't said that in a while. Anyway, that's something from high school. I don't know why I still remember it. I remember we just moved to Colorado. I was like, I think I was 11, probably 10 or 11. And my dad was helping somebody else move. We're driving down Broadway. And my brother and I are arguing about who can memorize something longer. Okay. And he said, what I want you to do is I want you to memorize the license plate in front of us. And whoever remembers it longer wins. FE 7055. FE7055. It will be ingrained in my brain for the rest of my life. I will remember it to my dying day, and so will my brother. He still remembers it too. Every now when we see each other, we're like, FE7055. Huh? Okay, we're still on. Kind of a running family joke thing. It's the only one I got left. So I'm holding on to it because I have separation anxiety with family. Well, I did. I don't anymore. So, because I worked through it, I had to be honest about it. But humility became something different in a sense. See, even when things start to get really, really good, and they're really good for me right now, God, please give me direction today. It's still, it doesn't become any, and what I ask for doesn't become different. What happens is what becomes different because I wasn't the person that I was 8 years ago. I'm not the person that I was a month ago, and neither are you. See, humility equals progress, and progress is where it's at, even though we're reaching for perfection. I was talking to Pastor Marcia about this. And because I asked her a question, I said, "Aren't we all Jesus? Aren't we all supposed to be? Whether you think that he was God's son or whatever, okay, he was alive. There was a guy named Jesus, and he did some cool shit, right? Well, if we're all children of God, right? Now, no, we're not. But this does go with AA. It is the sixth and seventh step. And in the sixth and seventh step, it talks about perfection. It is about perfection. Oh, but we're not perfect. No, and you never will be. But we aim for it. You bet. You bet. Yes, I'm going to aim for God's perfect perfection. You bet. No, I am never going to reach it until I die. And then I will be perfect. Maybe. I don't know. Probably closer. But striving for it is what matters. I know I'm not going to obtain it. But I can tell you now, I'm going to have an awfully good time getting there. Awfully good time. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for participating, Patricia. I kind of think that a lot of times people don't say anything because then you feel like you're obligated to stay. Don't feel that way here, please. You can say good morning and then be like, hey, I got to go. I am not going to get upset. Okay. So don't feel like just because you say something here that you're required to stick around for the whole thing. No, that would be an expectation, and it's not mine. I can tell you that. That's your expectation. So feel free, man. It's okay. Hey, I can only catch 15 minutes. I'm on my way to work. That's cool. Then I got you for 15 minutes. No biggie to me. No biggie to me. All right. I just want people to know that it's okay to do that. It's okay to be a part of something and then have to leave. You have that right. And if other people can't hold space for you for doing that, they're not your friends. They're not your friends. I get it all the time. Hey, Dion, I just got a call. I got to go pick up the kid. Love you. Bye. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I got to talk with Spossy. Okay, get out of here. They ain't priorities. I am not the priority here. Kids, your recovery, the family, those are a priority over me. Fuck yeah. I know mine is. I love you. I love you. Peace out.